Good morning, everyone. We would like to welcome everyone to the Embassy of India in Japan for today's seminar on India's digital public infrastructure, evolution, and relevance to Japan. We would like to thank everyone for participating in today's seminar. And on top of that, we would also like to recognize the participant of our dignitaries, His Excellency Mr. Yasutoshi Nishimura, Honorable Member of Parliament, former Minister for Economy, Trade and Industry, and President of the Japan-India Parliamentary Friendship League. His Excellency Mr. Taro Yamada, Honorable Member of Parliament, Chair of the Special Committee on Regional Revitalization and Formization of Digital Society, the House of Councillors. His Excellency Mr. Toshitaka Ooka, Honorable Member of Parliament, and Mr. Hideki Domichi, former Japanese Ambassador to India and current External Director of Suzuki. To begin, we'd like to invite His Excellency, Mr. C.B. George, Ambassador of India to Japan, to deliver the inaugural remarks.
Good morning, everybody. Your Excellency, Mr. Yasutoshi Nishimura, Honorable Member of Parliament, former Minister of Economy, Trade and Industry, and President of Japan-India Parliamentary Friendship League. His Excellency, Mr. Taro Yamada, Honorable Member of Parliament, and Chair of the Special Committee of Regional Revitalization and Formation of Digital Society in the House of Councillors, Mr. Toshihita Ooka, Honorable Member of Parliament of Japan, Mr. Ambassador Hideki Domichi, former Japanese Ambassador to India and the current External Director of Suzuki Corporation, Mr. Kinji Saito, Councillor, Global Marketing, Suzuki Motor Corporation, Dr. Pramod Verma, one of the pioneers of India's digital public infrastructure, who is the keynote speaker today, leaders from Japan's corporate and technology sectors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm delighted to welcome you all to this important seminar on India's digital public infrastructure, evolution and relevance to Japan. I extend my appreciation to honorable members of Parliament and Ambassador Hideki Domichi, Mr. Kinji Sato, Dr. Pramod Verma, and all distinguished guests who have joined us today this early morning. I see many familiar faces who have contributed in building India-Japan relationship. Dear friends, we are living in an era of rapid technological transformation, where digital infrastructure has become a crucial enabler of economic growth, financial inclusion, and public service delivery. The way governments, businesses, and societies leverage digital technologies is fundamentally reshaping economic ecosystems, enhancing efficiency, and ensuring greater inclusivity and transparency. Over the past decade, India has pioneered a unique and scalable model of digital public infrastructure that has not only transformed governance and service delivery domestically, but is also generating immense interest globally. The India Act, which includes foundational layers like Aadhaar, digital identity, UPI, Unified Payments Interface, DigiLocker, secure document storage, have all established a framework that is interoperable and inclusive. The success of India's DPI framework has been remarkable in multiple ways. The UPI payment system, for example, has revolutionized digital transactions, democratizing access to banking payments. Aadhaar-enabled services have helped direct benefit transfers schemes reach millions, eliminating inefficiencies in social security programs. Through initiatives like DigiLocker and Account Aggregator, India has built an open yet secure data ecosystem that empowers individuals while ensuring robust privacy safeguards. There are many such success stories where the DPI framework has had a positive impact on the lives of 1.4 billion people of India. The relevance of the DPI model is in our engagement with Japan is an important aspect of today's discussion. As we are aware, India's DPI has been endorsed by multiple countries and international organizations such as the IMF and most recently the G20. India's experience offers a proven, cost-effective and scalable template for digital transformation for any country that seeks to enhance digital governance, improve financial inclusion, and strengthen its fintech ecosystem. Dear friends, India and Japan share a special strategic and global partnership, one that extends across domains such as infrastructure, economic security, technology, and innovation. As two nations committed to democratic values, transparency, and inclusive economic growth, our cooperation in digital infrastructure and fintech innovation holds great promise. I am very happy to mention that this year we are celebrating India-Japan Year of Science and Technology and Innovation. I am hopeful that this would further help our current level of engagement in science and technology and innovation, including in the digital innovation ecosystem. I am very happy that we have Honorable Nishimura, who was the former METI minister and has personally contributed in building India-Japan relationship, is present here with us. So we look forward to hearing you all today. I'm very happy that we have a series of presentations ready. I thank Suzuki Corporation for the initiative in connecting us, and I'm very happy that Dr. Pramod Verma, one of the pioneers of India's DPI, is here with us today. Once again, I welcome you all. I look forward to a very fruitful engagement today. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Sir, for the inaugural remarks. Next, we'd like to invite His Excellency Mr. Yasutoshi Nishimura, Honorable Member of Parliament, former Minister of METI, and Chair of India-Japan Parliamentary Friendship Group, to deliver his remarks.
Good morning, everyone. As introduced, I am Nishimura Yasutoshi, former Minister for Economy and Trade and Industry, and also a President of Japan-India Parliamentary Friendship League. So I'm very honored to be here and to have a chance. I'm glad to have a chance to speak some words. So please allow me to speak in Japanese from now on. So please, headset, please.
必要な方は通訳のヘッドセットをご用意いただけたらと存じます。
多くの皆様参加をされてのご盛会を心からお祝い申し上げます。今日私も楽しみにしてまいりました。インドの ID システムのアドハ、90数%の人が国民のですね、これを所持している。
Something% of the nation has been using, and more than 1.3 billion nations has been using this, and by basing this as they use using the lots of their different services. And Japan's my number usage ratio is about 80%, and the connecting to the banking system is about 60% of this. So the India's population is more than 10 times as that of the Japanese, and this has been utilized by more than 1 billion nations, and there's a very interesting trend. And facing this Adoha, and then there's an Indian stack. This is a collect as a digital infrastructure, and this has been used in the various services, able to do the electronical authentications and electronical payment transactions. And this is of initiatives of the IT large state of India. And then Pramod, who is the chief architecture, is here today. And I'd like to listen to his speech as much as I could today. And then I was looking at the Baruma-san's presentations, and he mentioned that the open innovation and speed in his speech. And this is what we need to do. So regardless of the initiatives, quality of the initiatives, but the President Trump, this is speed, he is doing the initiatives one after another, is something that we have to follow. And we have to, this agility in this changing environment is required. We don't have time to think slowly. We have to do this quickly, or to do the initiatives quickly. And of course, we have to discuss the quality of the initiatives. However, as Baruma-san, the initiatives, the open innovation and speed, I would like to learn from his experience. So I have visited India more than 20 times, and each state has their own authorities and has their own initiatives. And the Aadhaar India stack was actually led by the central government. And this is the nation common infrastructure, and this is very interesting initiatives. And I have the experience that doing the business among across the state is difficult, but this is the this public infrastructure across the state of the all Indias, so it can enable all the nation to be able to use these services. And I'd like to also listen and then learn on these initiatives. The IT power that India has, and also they are also planning to promote the industry as a Make in India. So the semiconductor related companies has been developed and rolled out in India. So we'd like to have a win-win relationship between Japan and India to lead the world economy. So I think this is the first big step towards this future. And then I myself, I would like to learn from today's event. So I'd like to, I'm really looking forward to this event, and I'd like to congratulate you on this opportunity.
Of Japanese audience, I'd like to speak in Japanese. So, Shibi George, thanks for the support from Shibi George, and also the stakeholders with regards to the India. So that's I'm very pleaseful to have this study session like today. I really appreciate your support on this event. And why we have this event? So last November, so Suzuki, the next art venture, which is to support the social infrastructure in the bungalow we started, and also I myself, for the last 30 years, I was in charge of all the related job, and I'm working on the that aspect, and also within this frame. So the entrepreneurs that we are supporting, this IT infrastructure is actually helpful for them to move forward with their job. And also, who actually made this is as a matter of fact, so Dr. Burma, who was actually in the same city, and I had an interview with them, and he didn't come to Japan before, so we invited to Japan, and also for this infrastructure that we like to have a support the presentation. So that's why we came up with this event to have him on this stage. And this in Suzuki, we already had this presentation. It was quite surprising. Our employee is actually engaged in India a lot, but still there are so many things that we don't know. So from my side, I'd like to explain the overall overview of India, and we'd like to give the microphone to Dr. Vilma. So first of all, as Mr. Nishimura mentioned, so right now 1.4 billion people. So the my number card is still not the card. There is no physical card. So once you register, then like you can use the recognition of the face or fingerprint or anything biometric related. So there is a QR code, and then you can do the printing, and also you can use it as it is, and also there is multiple way of use, and also with the it's connected to the bank account. And also if we need to have the government subsidy, then you just click the one button to pay to billions of people. And also this account bank account information, so if you have the information, then you can use in the multiple systems. So this India stuck the overall system that, as I mentioned, like smartphone, or you can pay, and also cash is no longer used. So that is the Indian society right now. And long time ago, I was actually trying to drive the car, but at that time you need to use the cash to buy the car, and but right now there's no situation like that. So we never see the cash in India, and also beyond this, still there are people who are not working, like especially with women. So how we can start, then how we can borrow money, then so this bank account details that it's actually registered or recorded. So so in each shopping, like when you pay up, when you purchase anything, it's all recorded. And also, if you accumulate 3 or 4 years, then the AI actually consider how much loan that you can grant. And within this 15 minutes, so this major bank that they can decide how much money that they can lend. So that's something that is happening, and also the entrepreneurs that we are supporting is actually getting into the Indian market, and they make the growth. So as this is very astonishing for me, and I heard this. Also, how that is actually contribute to the Indian society is actually very surprising. And also, I mentioned about the billion, which a billion. So it's the as I mentioned, 1.4 billion. So the ID is actually allocated to these people, and as a result, so the overall structure, or many companies are using this structure to do their job. As a result, so when the numbers of the bank account increased, especially with the female owners are actually increasing, as I mentioned in the slide. So here, 150 million was the it used to be, but right now more than 500 million. And as in the Dr. Barma's presentation, he is going to mention about 800 million, but it's actually dramatically increasing. And at the same time, so the penetration of the smartphone. So right now it's sold in the India. iPhone is quite expensive, so it's not really sold, but it's cheaper smartphone that they're using. So this smartphone, it's around 1 billion units. So the access to the internet is actually coming through here, and it's actually it's happening at the same time, which is quite surprising. And also here it's mentioned, so this 131 billion payment or shopping has been happening. So but divided by the population, so one person, 1,300 around. This 1 billion. So the adults are using mostly. So this is actually very amazing, or too amazing. So why this Aadhaar that is coming? So the ID, personal ID, there was no such things using the license ID or the election ID, but so it's changed transfer to this Aadhaar. So almost all the people have this, and also the bank account, and also uh, to identify yourself is anywhere that you can do. It's which is quite amazing structure. And also with the privacy, and also the privacy or the personal information, the government also is not allowed to use the private data. And this is, as I mentioned, so in these other countries are trying to learn this system to apply to the each nation. And so this is useful for the economic growth, and that's something that you would actually feel. So what happened in the beginning back in 2009 when they start this discussion? So in order for the development of the technology, we need to have the ID. Otherwise, it's not really deployable for the economic situation. So everyone can allocate a specific ID, which is great idea in the beginning. And also, this is very Indian way of thinking. So from 2012 to 17, to make this Aadhaar system is actually this is whether a compliant with the constitution or not, and also this is actually the compliant to the constitution. So after that decision making, they accelerate their initiative to make this happen. And also when they started this initiative, the Dr. Mansi, who is the former prime minister, and also he was the leadership to make the economic growth happening. And I myself also worked with him for a long time. And so during his period, so he requested to allocate the ID for everyone. And also they collected the volunteer to do the core designing. And also the core team is actually doing as a volunteer. So we have Burma, Dr. Burma today. He is also engaged in this volunteer, and still he is working this as a volunteer. So they are the core members, and also the multiple components or the other systems are outsourcing to the other companies to make this this structure overall. And also the most important concept here, as we organized in this slide. So within this frame, the most important point is the Indian Constitution is the privacy is the definite, the absolute things that we need to protect. So, no example, when we consider this, so this economic activities or all the bank account is actually transparent, then the government can actually leverage that to calculate the taxation. Then they can actually use that. But India government never do that. So this is because of the privacy. So the individual can apply for the tax and to pay the tax. So this is actually very great idea of India. And once the individual agrees, then they can use for the economic activities, or they can use for the evidence or any IDs. So that is a very amazing point of the design. And also the third point here, so that in order for them to use the new technology, they need to forget about the existing technology. So that's the start. UPI is it's actually doing the transaction between the banks, which is for free, amazing, without any credit card. So in that case, then the people from industry, of course, they kind of had concern, but I think Dr. Verma will be telling us how he did this, but that was the situation. So to have this new system, then the biggest thing is that like they trying to get rid of the existing ones, and also biometric, and anywhere you can make yourself identified. So even people live in the remote area, they can engage in the economic activities. And also very simple and streamlined systems to penetrate this concept is quite important. So these 3 points are the significant approach. So in anywhere you make the IT infrastructure, I think this is a very important factor. And this India stack, I think you would actually be here. This terminology stack means this shelf, and also within this frame overall, the application rather than the all the application, but it's actually the structure to connect each other is the India stack. So let me make this diagram here. It's a very simple diagram. So using the privacy data is the yellow consent layer, and also the cashless, and the structure to make this as a cashless, and also the paperless is the layer, and also the last one is the even if the person is not there, you can they can do the ID, and these are the 4 layers and the combinations to contribute to the economic growth. So this is the Indian stock that I understand. And as mentioned, this UPI. So using the smartphone to go, if you go to the restaurant, then the people would actually use the QR code, and the smartphone will be reading this. And if you click this, then the payment is happening from your bank account and to go and transfer to the restaurant's account. That's it. So such system that India made. And also the similar one in Japan is PayPay. It's quite similar in PayPay, but the difference thing is like so going from the bank account to bank account is unique. So what kind of structure that he made is something that we'd like to hear from Dr. Burma. And also, as mentioned here, multiple digitalization is connected together, and it's more convenient life started, especially with the DigiLocker. So they can accumulate multiple documentation, so you don't have to take any paper. So you just have the smartphone on your hand to show your documents. So this is the something that it's signed, and also to make this sign. So right now we do have the electric sign, but so the with the ID backed by ID is quite amazing. And also from now on, so e-commerce transaction that we would have. So this is ONTC, and also there would be some of the room that it's deployable. And also the ONDC that I just mentioned, what this is. So the biggest one, the e-commerce industry that they have, and also the e-commerce industry. You buy this and you put the margin on top of that and sell. That's how they work. But this structure, if this structure this is scaled, then what's going to happen is like you don't need the interim people. So between the individual can do with secured. So yeah, there is the ID. So you can do in a secure way. So this ONDCs are quite a wonderful concept. And this internet vision, I'm sorry, I'm not really sure about this, so you can hear out from Dr. Burma, but this is futuristic story. So that I think I can finish my remark from here, and I'd like to hear from Dr. Burma, and he is going to explain, and he is going to enhance the system, and he's engaged in this chief architect. He is the core member or core lead of the system. So thank you very much. We'd like to hear from Mr. Dr. Thank you.
His Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me. Wonderful first trip to Japan, and it's amazing that I get to address all of you and share our learnings of in the last actually 15 years, but mostly in the last 10 years of India's exponential digital drive, and why that is very, very important as India moves towards what we call Viksit Bharat, which is independent, what we call self-reliant India. And the economic growth, as we grow, needs to be inclusive, and that pretty much drive everything. And you can bring inclusion through innovation, entrepreneurial innovation. So two things that India always focused is inclusion of the long tail, the large society, and on top of that, driving entrepreneurial innovation. We believe entrepreneurs are going to make all the changes, all the good stuff, but they need a playground. The playground has to be created through policies and infrastructure, quite like physical infrastructure. Why do governments invest in physical infrastructure like roads, airports? Same reason. They create a public utility, create a common infrastructure for everyone to use it and drive economic growth. In the digital world, somehow it's not a common thing to invest in digital infrastructure, but we are going more and more and more digital. Fast forward 10, 20, 30 more years, our children and our grandchildren will be fully in the digital realm. In that digital world, we ought to think, societies and countries and every society must think about what does it mean to create digital public infrastructure as well as a public utility shared playground on top of which innovation can happen, and many possibilities can emerge, and of course economic growth can continue to thrive. And that's the essence that I'm going to cover. It's not about specific projects, and that's interesting. Of course, India did very interesting projects and very large, but the essence of why we did and how we did is even more important, I think, as all of you think about it. So we don't have to talk about it. India is really, really large, and more than large, I think the size is one thing. I think the diversity of India is staggering. Okay, so people who have not traveled. 22 official languages, constitutionally official languages, but we all speak, several hundred languages. Every 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers, food changes, language changes, weather changes, culture changes. So it's like a continent. It's not a country, but held by a constitution. So it was important to create a uniform marketplace and uniform methods to drive economic growth. Otherwise, it will remain fragmented, and the fragmentation is not a good thing. And this scale and diversity creates a lot of complexity. I think His Excellency was mentioning how we managed to pull off in this complexity. Large states, political disconnections. How do you make it happen? It's always a magic, a little bit trick, but it's important that we put people at the center. This is when the ID project started. This is when I quit my private career and joined the government as a volunteer, chief architect of Aadhaar, to build India's digital infrastructure. And it was even, it was, surprising even to me that only 17% of Indians had bank account in 2009, and only 3% paid income tax. It's still low. 2% in capital market. Only 2% of India participated in mutual funds, stocks, and other formal markets. And India gives a lot of subsidies. Even COVID, I think even Japan gave subsidies to people during COVID lockdown. Similarly, India has a lot of subsidy programs for women, for underprivileged, and for farmers, and many other programs. And these programs to deliver these benefits to people, it's very hard to give to people if you don't know who they are and if they don't have a bank account. It's very, very hard to give. So it is not surprising that half of 40 to 50% of that money was leaking, was getting lost because the intermediary was taking it away. So there were a lot of money getting lost, and it is not good for the expenditure management, efficient expenditure management of government. It's not good for the people because money was not going to them. So that needed to be plugged. And of course, because no banking, there's no electronic payments in 2009. Even until 2016, we were very, very, very behind. We were very cash heavy. And the strategic goal, and this is consistently remains our strategic goals. Inclusion is very key. Economic growth is very key, and India continues to grow well. But if you grow without inclusion, you will have an extremely, unbalanced growth, and that's not good. Work mobility, and this is an important thing in India, particularly when people move from east to west or north India to southern India for work, they can't speak the language. They don't eat the same food. And they don't even get identified. So it's very hard for people to go for jobs. But the economic progress is happening in many, many cities, and we want people to have mobility. That one place to other place, they should be able to move, work, do business, and easily go. Women, and this is very key in Indian, especially patriarchal societies, that men tend to have all the documents in their name. So land records, electricity bill, phone number, so all in man's name. That actually means that there is no address proof and ID proof for women. And that's not a really good thing because they don't get bank accounts. They can't actually participate. And growth, and they hold the society. And as everyone knows, women are an integral part of the growth, and they need to be brought in. Very key. And India always placed, and Prime Minister talks about it, Prime Minister Modi talks about it all the time, about startups. An Indian startup, because Indians are always been very entrepreneurial, and entrepreneurial energy need to be unlocked. When you unlock entrepreneurial energy, you see an enormous amount of innovation happening. But to do that, you have to give policy support. You have to give other economic and financial incentives for them to innovate, access to capital, because if venture capitalists and other investments are not there, Indian entrepreneurs will go to US or somewhere else. They won't innovate inside. So these are very, very key part. And another key part was cost. Remember, cost of innovation and cost of doing business. If cost is high, you tend to do business only for the elite, only the top of the pyramid, what is called India 1 and not Bharat, the rest of India. Okay, so it's very, very key that the cost need to be brought down so that innovators can go after, and entrepreneurs and businesses can go after the next 200, next 500 million consumers and bring them into the formal economic cycle. And that is coming from the innovation. And of course, while we do it, it was very essential for us to keep openness of the whole system and sovereignty in terms of control of these technologies, because we are very, very, very conscious that our technologies are not remote controlled in one sense, right? Especially the infrastructure, internet, connectivity, and basic infrastructure, payment infrastructure, and so on. This is ID project. What happened in 2009 is absolutely amazing to watch. 2009, the ID program was launched, announced. 2010, in 1 year, the program was launched on the ground. By second year, 2011, we had the first 1 million Aadhaar holder in 1 year. Then onwards, we were doing 1 to 1.5 million Aadhaars every day. Not 1 year, every day. That means in 4 years, we reached 630 million. In 5.5 years, less than 6 years, we reached 1 billion people. And 1 billion people, actually around 600,000 villages, stood in line, enrolled, and I've got a digital ID in 6 years. It's just amazing at the speed. Now people wonder, oh, did you have a large team? Did you do this in the most expensive way to do? Because you can always throw money and people and try to do. In fact, it was exactly the opposite. The entire system, identity team, was 150 people. And the cost of ID was so low that we actually managed to do. So the minimalism, remember, minimalism of that design was the essence of scale and the essence of success. Not doing too much and doing too big. In fact, too little was a good thing. So we did very little and actually achieved for 1 billion people. Okay, and it's used every month. It's used about 60 to 70 million times every day, 2 billion times a month. And that's also a good thing. It's used every day. And it means foundation, it's very, very simple. It actually collects only 4 attributes. Remember, it was again minimalism playing out. And it was also important for privacy, not to capture too much data. So we captured only name, date of birth or age, gender, which is a trigender, India's 3-gender system, and address, because it's just bare as essential to prove your identity. And optionally, mobile number and email. Nobody has email in India, very low, so mobile number mostly. But India needed a mechanism to give identity uniquely. And we did not have civil registries, like birth registry very well. Half of India do not have birth certificate. My father, we come from upper middle class, don't have a birth certificate. My mother doesn't have a birth certificate. So it's not common. Only the recently now everyone is enrolling. All the children are enrolling. Now it's getting very, very clean. But when we started, when you look at the country, you will see half of them don't have birth certificate. So how do you give unique IDs? Is through biometric. So you use biometric, photograph, and fingerprint and iris. And of course, Japanese companies like NEC participated, continue to participate and support us in some of these efforts. But the best part is that you take this, compare with everyone else, and generate a 12-digit random number. That number has no meaning. just a random number, and that's your number for lifelong. And it was unique and lifetime. Okay, very very simple system. People ask this question: was it complex? Yeah, it's complex. Anything in India is complex, but you know, the system itself is not complex. And if you add more complexity ourselves, then we are going to drown in our own complexity. So we kept it really simple. And this is how they were enrolling all around the country. This is the sort of card you go enroll, and if you travel around India, some of you have done, and actually, when you go to the villages, you don't have proper rooms. There's no AC room, proper rooms to enroll. So sometimes you're on the veranda of a school or a post office, outside the post office, under the trees, and then things like that. So we had to calibrate and readjust the technology to cater to the context of that India. We could not copy paste a very formal passport like environment and say, let's do it in a village. We just can't do it. Doesn't work. But it worked. It beautifully worked across the country, sort of the center you can go into. And because of that ID, because everybody got ID, government immediately saw one of the largest advantage of having an ID for the people, that finally people can open bank account, because opening bank account was very costly, by the way, for people who don't have much salary or much earnings. So it really fast-tracked India's financial inclusion. And first it started early 2012, 2013, but 2014, when Prime Minister Modi announced Jan Dhan, a program that brings universality of financial inclusion, he really gave political support, political will to really push, saying everyone in this era must have a bank account. It is very silly not to have a bank account. Let's do it. But by then, technology was ready, mobile connections were coming, and beautifully it collided. The trends collided and actually gave 570 new accounts opened, total of billion accounts. Best part, finance minister, she talks about it all the time. More than 65% is actually women. So now, the first time India achieved gender parity in bank account and address, identity and gender bank account, everyone has bank account, including women. It's amazing, all in the same decade, okay, remember. And hundreds of fintech applications. That's the best part. Many entrepreneurs started embedding identity verification in their own apps and solutions to give employment, faster train journey, faster bank account opening, faster insurance buying. So you can do presence-less without me there. In digital way, I can buy an insurance, for example, instantly, right? All those were done not by ID system. And the best part was the entire cost of ID system was $2. In 15 years, the entire system was spent only $2 per ID. Very, very cheap. But it is important that if you keep it minimal and keep it really small, and the value can be contained, but at scale, it can be achieved. And that is also changed the way we are giving subsidy. I think we talked about it earlier. How does government give subsidies to people or welfare benefits to people? It is now by direct to the bank account of the woman. Most of the programs are women targeted, so they actually go to the women bank account. And this has actually now so far $525 billion have been directly sent in minutes. Indian government is one of the only governments in the world that actually in a billion people can receive money instantly if they wish to. So when the COVID lockdown happened in India, first lockdown, Indian government sent 470 million people money in minutes. So it was very important that systems like this, when you create money rail to move money, that's all it does. From one point to other point, move money fast, cheap. Allow people to participate, move money. What do you move money for? Maybe sending to your parents, maybe sending to your spouses, maybe paying fees, school fees, maybe at a merchant buying shopping, or government sending money to people, or large companies sending salary to people. It doesn't really matter. But when you create a general road, money like a road, think like a road, digital road, to move money, it comes very powerfully. It allows innovations to happen in the future. That is why it is called infrastructure. Money rail in India is called infrastructure because by itself doesn't do anything. Having a road by itself is useless. If there are no cars and if nobody to drive, if no buses, right? Nothing, it's useless road. So it's like that. So you remember, infrastructure by itself is not useful unless people are innovating applications and providing benefits to the economy and the people at large. And the savings to exchequer, to the government, savings so far is $38 billion. And that's a brilliant ROI. You spend $2 per ID, open bank account, and you save $38 billion. Now, that's how government should do projects. That's a great ROI. Private companies would like to do that. It also meant first time in the history of India, you can do banking at the doorstep. That means my grandmother can get her pension at the doorstep without moving a step. And this is a very powerful inclusion because villages are far, 650,000 villages. If they have to come half a day, one day to the bank branch, they won't come. It's too far. So banks in India, banks never went to villages, even today. But we managed to get banking to villages. And that's why the digital makes a difference. You can bring banking and healthcare. You can't get physically hospitals and doctors because too many, too difficult to do. And India at the same time, in the same decade, also transformed our 4G network and telecom and became, and it's a great picture of how Indians used to watch cricket matches, sports matches in front of a TV, everyone huddling around. But now everybody is watching on their mobile phone. It tells you Indians have moved from, because the data is cheapest in the world, one of the cheapest in the world, data plans for India. And this is also because of that same time revolution happening. And India is also going paperless. And Ambassador talked about this as well. Through DigiLocker and electronic signature, 1 billion people can now digitally sign contract, invoices, tax filings, everything, employment acceptance letters, all the digitally. And that's key. Why is it key? Because it reduces the cost. When it reduces the cost to the business, cost of doing business and cost of compliance, it expands the pie, expands the market. And when you expand the market, the next 500 million people can now join the formal economy. And that's a great thing for Indians to do. And today we have many, this was also architected and in 2014, and we launched in 2015 called DigiLocker. And India also does, these are all innovations that are playing out. If you're traveling in domestic airports in India, you can literally walk through airport. Just show your face, show your face, show your face, go to the gate. Okay, no paperwork. And this is done in extremely privacy caring. And India is a very, very privacy sensitive country, by the way. And you'll be surprised, although they are poor people, they're very large civil society in India that actually holds some reasonable support for these arguments. Entire DigiYatra is completely done locally at the airport, not centrally. No central system. Locally matches before 3 hours, it gets the data. And when you walk through after 3 hours, it deletes the data. Very carefully architected. But convenience and privacy. You can achieve both. And this is when we launched payment, 2016. And unlike PayPay, for example, we had similar to PayPay, we had similar what's called a closed loop payment. That means I have the same application. You have the same application. I can send money to you. But if you had a different application, I can't send money to you. Different app. If I have PayPay and you have GPay, Google Pay, I can't send money here, right? And that's how it used to be in India. But in 2016, it changed. We created what's called an open loop payment system. That means it's like electricity grid. Any number of banks can connect, any number of apps can connect to the grid, and they're all interoperable. Instantly, money movement. And this was because it was key, because look at this, 40 years of credit card in India. We only achieved 22 million credit cards in 2016. We have 1 billion adults, 22 million cards, very few people like us had cards. No point of sale system, nobody to scan card also. So card also is not there, tapping also not there. But what do? How do you buy? Cash. That's why Saito-san was saying you buy car with big bags of cash. That's not good. That's not how. I mean, it's very hard. It's just not bad thing. Security-wise bad thing. Accounting-wise bad thing. It's tax-wise bad thing. Everything, and entirely changed when something called Unified Payment Interface. And why is it again Unified Payment Interface? An infrastructure. Is UPI is not an app. UPI is just a set of design specification that tells you how to send money from one side to other side instantly in a secure fashion. Who will write the apps? Our own PayPays of the world. We have many companies, startups, PhonePe, Google Pay, many other startups, Paytm, they all do our apps. Which bank? Any bank. What do they need to do? Make sure they all speak UPI language. If they all speak the UPI's machine language, everybody can send money. So UPI is seen as an infrastructure, and apps were built on top of it. So same thing, build infrastructure, interoperable, secure, privacy defining infrastructure, let the innovation thrive. And that is why last month we did 17.8, actually nearly 18 billion transaction. In 6 years, 8 years, we from 0 transactions to 18 billion transactions a month. 600 million transactions a day. That is larger than MasterCard worldwide volume. Think about it in just 8 years, right? It's huge adoption. 500 million people are actually using UPI. And most importantly, many merchants. You go to India, you can't actually use cash. It's slightly other way around. They look at you as why are you even giving me cash? Because it's hard. I have to take the cash, I have to give you the remaining cash, and I don't have remaining cash. So they'll say, why are you not paying? So they look at you, vaguely, weirdly. So this is important. 50 million formal merchants, 200 million informal merchants. Why is informal merchants? That one lady in India who sells bananas on the roadside is not considered a merchant by banking system, okay? They are just people. So including everyone, they accept 200 million QR codes, but 50 million formal merchants. And I'll skip, I already talked about any bank, any app to any app. So I can have GPay, you can have PayPay or Paytm or PhonePe, and anybody can do. I can have a bank account, you can have a bank account, and it can move any money. And you can have also recurring payments. So like utility bill, Netflix subscriptions, all this Apple subscription, all these are now actually possible on top of that. And you will see this QR code everywhere in India. And even God, you have to go pray to God, you have to pay via QR code. Okay, and you are on the last one, that is at 10,500 feet in the Himalayas. Topmost, that's called the last tea shop in the world. Highest in one of the, from the height from the sea level. Everywhere it's accepted, and that again comes from minimalism. UPI, Aadhaar, you will see the same principles playing out. Keep it simple, keep it minimal, define the interoperable infrastructure, let innovators drive applications, workflows, solutions, everything else on top of that. And we also digitize businesses.
and created a unified tax system in the country, indirect tax. It was very, very broken and fragmented for us. And that was not good for businesses. So we improved, created a single market, single logistics and transportation system. And why this is interesting? Interestingly, tax is never interesting, by the way. But why is it interesting to entrepreneurs? Is because all these systems were, every one of them, so far I talked about, offers what's called application programming interfaces, API. APIs are the means by which entrepreneurs embed various capabilities in their application. So they will use this API, that API, and create nice apps for them to make apps. Now you can make apps with all these APIs. So this is very, very powerful. What does it mean to India? This meant Indian society was getting digitized faster than ever. What is the result of that digitization? Data. Explosion of data. And the danger of that is that if you don't do anything about it, data will get monopolized, locked, or unused, unusable. So India actually came up with a privacy law last year. And under that law, we gave the right to own your own data. That means if you have a bank data, mutual fund data, employment data, various business data, invoices data, no system can tell you that you can't get a copy, electronic copy of that data. So that means everyone can get an electronic copy of their transactions, whether it's financial, employment, work, any transaction, healthcare transaction, not in paper. Actually, they have to give it to you in electronic form as we implement this. And first network was alive, and that is in the first network called Account Aggregator Network. Is our India's all financial data is coming to you. Now people again asked, oh my God, isn't it security problem? If you collect everybody's data, financial data, it's never collected. If you want to look at behind the scene, this is one of the unique architectures in the world, inspired by the internet itself. It has no central database. It has no central system. It is completely what we call decentralized. That means your data is not being collected and kept, which is dangerous. Both privacy, security, everything is dangerous. India has designed world's first decentralized data sharing. But you, as an individual, using your identity, can now take control of your data, your invoices, your bill payments, your tax payments, your healthcare records, and so on, and keep it with you and use it later for a variety of reasons. So Indians are having our own, what we call ledger. That's what everyone is making, our own ledger. And this is the reason why in the same decade, we saw an explosion of startups also. Because when you start creating a friendly startup environment through policies and create digital infrastructure, a set of components, digital components, Lego blocks that is available to them, they will now combine them like how people combine internet, GPS, and give you food delivery apps. GPS was not built by the food delivery app. Internet was not built by them, right? Email was not built by them. Telecom was not built by them. But entrepreneurs use them. Use it to create nice applications for you. Healthcare applications, consumer applications, so on. Indian entrepreneurs now today, 2016, we had 1,000 startups. Today, we have 100,000 plus startups. In fact, we are going to 1 million startups in the next 10 years. That's our target. Because India's diversity and scale needs lots of innovation. And we are driving that. And on top of that, what do we now worry about? Now that we have in the last 1 decade, India has laid the foundations through digital public infrastructure. What is foundation? Everybody has an ID, Everybody has bank account. Everybody can make payments, which all of you take it for granted because as a developed economy, you will see that. But India had to catch up. So India caught up. Now what do? You have to open up three biggest areas of our focus in the digital sector. AI is a huge topic because AI on top of DPI, digital public infrastructure, means faster, cheaper, and high efficient, high productivity applications. For example, insurance cost can come down with AI because cost of processing an insurance is very high today. Paperwork, claims management, verification, all that can get faster and cheaper, right? When it becomes faster and cheaper, insurance become affordable by 1 billion people. 1 billion people can't buy insurance. It's too costly. So it is important we apply AI. And the second area, and we are applying that for both language barrier. Indians also have language barrier, quite like here. But at least you have a uniform language, one language. We are none of 4 or 5 Indians you take, we won't speak the same language here in this room. We speak English, common language. Okay, so it's very difficult to get the next 500 million people to participate in the transaction economy. Not entertainment. Entertainment, everybody can watch. Beyond that, what do you do? If you want, language barrier has to go. Language of interfacing with the computer has to go. Make it simple for common people. So we are investing in voice-based payment, voice-based interfaces and so on in local languages. For farmers can get knowledge using voice. Oh, I'm trying to, do this. Is it the right thing to do? And it'll tell in her language or his language. So it's very important we invest and productivity. And that's why AI, 3 sectors that we are very, very, very focused on is agriculture, because half of India is agriculture. Healthcare is much to be solved in healthcare in India. Very, very poor. Actually, it's a long way to go for us. And education and skilling. It's very key, okay, to support. And second area, in addition to AI, is opening up commerce or ability to trade, ability to conduct transaction. You cannot do this if there are large platforms. By the way, numbers, if you are interested in numbers, India's e-commerce penetration, how many people do e-commerce, is only 8%. Even with Amazon, even with large companies there, only 8% do e-commerce. Only 2% uses apps to do mobility transaction. Like Go, Uber, kind of booking. Only 2% of country. What do other people do? Nobody knows. They just go out and buy physically. Everything is what's called fragmented. India's economy is very fragmented. Fragmentation brings inefficiencies. That's not good. So we are creating an internet of commerce. It's not an app. It's not a platform. That is why, again, it's an infrastructure thinking. It is like an electricity grid. On one side, what does electricity grid do? Producers on one side, consumer of electricity on the other side. We don't need to know who is producing my electricity. Somewhere it gets produced, somewhere it gets consumed. Similarly, grid of commerce is doing that. Everybody can sell. Whoever selling something can come here, and people who are buying can come here. You can use any app, any platform, any interface you want to use to buy, discover products and services, and discover consumers on the other side and sell and buy. And this is basically moving from closed loop platforms to open loop commerce. What we did with payments, right? And this is across. And by the way, in 2 years, the network has already crossed 150 million transactions, which is launched. So, but we are investing heavily in this, not money, investing to create this infrastructure so that every small business, every small boutique homestay in a village don't have to pay 50% commission. to sell their product. Some balance of power is retained. It's not against the platform. Platforms do a fantastic job. Okay. We love Amazon. No problem at all. But we need balance of power. And when you create open loop systems like UPI, it creates lot more defragmented. It doesn't remain fragmented. Everybody now starts participating. And when everybody starts participating, it becomes formal commerce, not informal commerce. And that is very, very important. And this is how drivers like it. If you come to Bangalore, you're most welcome. We'd love to host some of you. When you come there, you can experience this. The world's first decentralized taxi booking. Uber. There's no central app, central platform. Any app, driver, and the money goes to driver. Driver loves it because there's no commission. So drivers get to keep all the money. So this is a good thing because they're working hard to drive, right? So everybody is now rebalancing. The market players are also saying, oh, we will also reduce the commission. Good thing for the society. It balances the power, okay? And the third area, so first area, AI, second area, commerce, and third area is sustainability. And energy sustainability is a huge topic. Prime Minister talks about it, right? 10 million more solar roofs. He is really pushing the agenda of sustainability. And this one, again, a global effort. It's a global effort called Digital Energy Grid. And everybody can look at it. Japan can actually look at it because these are new problems. These are not old problems. You are also facing the same problem. But India's entrepreneurs are implementing this as we speak and moving from old style grid to Internet of Grid. And this is very, very important. Why? Because the very key areas, 4 areas. Interoperable EV charging. We want the whole country, anywhere, anytime, I should be able to plug into a charger. I don't have to hunt for custom chargers, okay? Otherwise it won't scale. Peer-to-peer energy. Your rooftop solar in my house, I can sell it to a business nearby. A green power, not brown power and not black sources. Sustainable green sources I can sell. 4 states in India have already opened up the policy allowing this to happen. So India's bureaucrats and the government machinery is starting to open up the policies. But we need entrepreneurs to innovate new energy systems and new energy solutions. And that's what is going on. By the way, on top of this, we are implementing 2 giga. India is already dispensing in 6 months 2 gigawatts of power using DEG every month. 2 gigawatts of power. Startups, all startups, energy startups. It's very interesting startups going on. This is the last one we are focusing on. And this is part of the financial inclusion agenda, but a global agenda where we are working on ideas. We are working with some the Japanese partners as well here to reimagine a world where every one of your asset, whether it is a physical asset or digital asset, your assets will be made verifiable and transactable or tokenized in one sense and given back to people. So people can hold their assets in a verifiable and transactable manner, allowing what's called the next wave of internet beyond content, internet of transactions, internet of commerce, internet of trade globally to happen. And this is a vision paper that was published last year in Washington. It's a collective paper. Many people are participating around the world, and you can check it out. And many efforts in the world as well. I'll close it out. So why is India's thinking, why India benefited with this digital public infrastructure thinking? Is because it brought policies together, ready for innovation, ready for inclusion and economic growth policies. We have much to do, by the way. India is a wonderful place of problems. So if you want to solve any problem, you come to India. We have enough problems. But we have done a great job so far, and hopefully we continue to push that agenda in healthcare, agriculture, skilling, and so on. But policy is not enough. Just putting policy out is not going to change anything. We also have to create roads, digital public infrastructure to drive the next version of energy commerce. How does it work if you don't think about roads for energy? It's not just grid, physical grid. Physical grids are required. What is a digital grid equivalent? For example, you need an infrastructure, but these two are not enough. You put policy and have roads and nothing to do, nobody driving, nobody doing any innovation, not useful. Final, you also have to bring brilliant set of entrepreneurs, businesses, incentive aligned, people who are ready to solve, wanting to solve for your country, for India, for Bharat, and so on. So it's very, very key that we play with this trifecta, three things together all the time, so that if you get the balance right, you are on to something else. And we believe, at least for India, in the next 10, 20 years, this is an essential investment for us to do for creating inclusive growth. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Varma, for your insightful lecture. Now, we would like to open the floor for a short question and answer session. Yes, sir, please.
Thank you so much for your lecture. I am Arun, working at Toyota Tsusho Corporation in Tokyo. My question to you is that now we see lots of AI, like in America, OpenAI, XAI, and DeepSeeks. So can we expect something from India also? Thank you.
Yeah. So the AI, there are two or three areas of AI that India is focusing on. Again, I don't think India, again, we might do our own LLM, version of it, but LLM is not AI. LLM is one step in that AI. Generative AI is one step in that AI. As technologies we know, 2 years later, we'll come up with something even more staggering and exciting. It's a continuum. You have to keep track of it all the time. And AI is not new. It existed, several decades ago. And it was very hot few decades when I was doing my PhD. It was a hot topic. Everybody wanted to do AI, and it keeps coming back. So we should not get caught in the hype. But nevertheless, AI is actually today, computers are able to do things that are exceptionally smart, seemingly smart thing, decision making, generative AI for content creation, other things, productivity enhancement, or fraud detection for securing our own life. AI can be used. AI can be used for decision making, or today's management decision making, and so on. So we should not look at AI to OpenAI. Okay, OpenAI is addressing one part of it, and they are investing huge amount of money. I think our focus has been primarily twofold. One, to invest in sector-specific good data sets, to bring the data into the hands of the innovators. And that's not straightforward. Healthcare data. Today, if you're a health tech startup in India, to get healthcare data, it's hard. You have to hang around in a hospital, do some NDA, trying to figure out something. It takes months and months and months and months, and then you will get some, USB stick with some data. That's not how it should be done. What happens we want hundreds of startups to happen, right? So how do we bring data sets in a controlled, careful manner as an what do you call common mechanism, common design, what's called data infrastructure, to be able to bring that into the hands of the people. We are very focused on doing that. Second is compute. Bringing compute, affordable compute, GPUs, and newer GPUs like AMD and others are also beyond NVIDIA is launching. We must bring that. So those two are the focus of the what do you call government, if you want to, most policymakers, if I would broadly say. But for startups' point of view, AI is being applied everywhere in India because India's per capita GDP is only $2,500, and it's much to grow. We are almost at the bottom, so we have only an upside for AI. So we are not afraid to bring AI into healthcare, insurance processing, into productivity enhancements, tooling, and so on. We don't expect robots and physical AI to happen yet in India. India's systems are very wacko. It's very hard. Yeah, including autonomous vehicle. It'll be lovely if Bangalore gets some autonomous vehicle. I don't think it's happening anytime soon. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for the insightful and very impressive lecture. And actually, I used to work in India for 3 years, and I had a Aadhaar card as well. And thanks to Aadhaar card, I could get my PF refund when I resigned the job in India. So I really, I have to thank you for the Aadhaar card contributions. But now I'm working in the automotive sector in Japan, and I got interested in DEG, and I would like to hear more about the example or like strategy about EV charging networks, which India is now conducting, and things related to those EV system, which Japan can also imitate or can introduce as OEM or tier ones.
Excellent. Yeah. So in fact, if there was a link on my energy slide. If not, I'll give it to you later. Go check it out. I think Digital Energy Grid is a global imagination of how interconnected energy systems can come together, and how do you create an information layer on top of the electrons layer. Today we move electrons on the grid. How do you create information layer on top of that? That's a vision of DEG, and we believe that will trigger a lot of innovation in the market, like battery aggregation. We are already seeing, like a battery cloud, like AWS or Amazon cloud for storage. You can think of Amazon is some cloud for energy banks, energy storages, and we have startups doing that today in India. So we see that probably even here. Startups can do it, interoperable EV can happen. So please do check it out. I'm also very happy to see that you have Aadhaar. Thank you.
My name is Amoris Dhar. Your speech is very interesting, but I like to know that the basic thing, that Aadhaar card. So you must be also aware that sometime before, some terrorists were arrested, and it was found that he had 2 Aadhaar cards. So I want to ask that for the security reason, why didn't thing pop up that a person is making 2 Aadhaar cards? I think one was he made in West Bengal, and another thing I think in Tamil Nadu or Karnataka. So why this security thing didn't pop up?
Yeah, so most of these Aadhaars, they're being caught. Okay, this is a very important design principle. The printout, or it's called Aadhaar card, the card, it's not a card, it's just a printout, by the way, has no security apparatus by itself. You can print it yourself.
Yeah, that I know. But
okay, so that actually means people create fake printouts. But when you scan the QR code, you will immediately know that it is actually not genuine. So most of the time, people will keep Aadhaar as if it's theirs with their photo because they just print it out. But actually they're fake. So while they show that, in the newspaper, it's actually never genuine. Most of them are caught. They're not even validated.
I understand fake,
Yeah.
but that person had 2 Aadhaar cards. So why for the biometric measurement,
Yeah.
it should have come up, no?
Yeah, absolutely. They would have caught. There's a very high chance they are not even real. Very, very high chance. They would have caught. It's 99.9999% accuracy in the system. Okay, I'm pretty sure it was fake.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, please.
Thank you very much for your very, very insightful presentation. I'm working in the non-profit association called the Japan Association of Corporate Executives. So my question is related to the speed of expansion of Aadhaar. So it's really amazing compared to my number in Japan. So although the percentage of holder is rising, but I think its speed is still slow in Japan. And the main cause is, I think, for example, people is too afraid of privacy leak, although the leak rate is very extremely low. Or some say, I'm not very familiar with digitalization. It's something difficult for me. The digitalization is something difficult for me. So I'm not going to apply for my number. I think this is something happening. So my question is, how did you overcome this kind of a barrier? And wasn't there any resistance from the people, for example, or their elderly people who never used smartphone, for example? Thank you.
So it's very important to understand the context of India. First context, 70% of India is below 35 years old. Very young. We are the ones who are pushing the age up. Okay, we are all old. Very young India. What does it mean? Aspirational, ready to do, because they're hungry for their own progress, economic progress. Japan, you will see, the aging population versus India. And so that plays out, the context plays out. Second, Aadhaar, the benefit the identity system unlocked in India is much higher than the benefit you perceive from your my number. So here, people may not perceive what is the benefit, why should I apply? It's all about thinking about why should your customer want your app or your product. My number team should not think about, I am giving my number, why are you not taking? It should be other way around. Why should you take? So any product, and private companies do this all the time. Governments find it hard to think about it, but private companies think about it. If I create a product, I cannot force customers to come. Customers should love it. They should find a benefit. The same thing plays out even in the government. We forget it. Government, just because government did so, doesn't mean we have many failed schemes even in India, where the benefit was not high, benefit was not there, then people will ignore it. People will not come. So it is very important to always think about from the individual's perspective or your customers or beneficiaries' perspective, not from your perspective. Think from their side and say, why should they want your product? If you think like that, very high chance you will crack. In India, we had the benefit very well, because bank account, you will get it immediately, and you will get government benefit, subsidy in the bank account. Who don't want a bank account, free money? Everybody wants free money and bank account, so they came. So it was, it was a natural thing. And the fourth thing is that privacy was equally valid. In fact, as Saito-san was also mentioning, Aadhaar case in the Supreme Court of India was the second longest case in the independent history of India. In India's history, second longest case. We debated about privacy, but we came out very successful. Why? Minimalism. The system only captures 4 attributes about you, and it only does 2 things: verify your identity and allow you to share your identity, and it remembers nothing about you. It deletes all the audits, authentication audits in 6 months by law. So It has nothing else. So what is there to lose privacy? You're just, you post more information on Facebook and Instagram. People put more, their family, everything on Facebook and Instagram. So this system has so little that what is there to private? So design is very key. Get the design right, get the benefits right, and then make sure that it gets. So my number, maybe it's not. Same for UPI. Would Japan truly benefit from UPI? Yeah, some benefit, but is the benefit that much compared to India? May not be, because everybody has a card and everything is accepted here. So some societies benefit may be low. So always launch something that is beneficial to people, not beneficial to us.
Thank you so much, sir, for your knowledge and answering our questions. With this, we would like to wrap up our question and answer session. If there are any more inquiries, we also have a networking session after the seminar. So please join us as well. Thank you so much. Next, we'd like to invite Mr. Vipul Jindal, Managing Director of Next Bharat Ventures, for the introduction of Next Bharat Ventures. In the interest of time, we kindly ask the speaker to keep the speech brief. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much. 日本人に見えてるかもしれないですけど、インド人です。ちょっと日本語で頑張りますので、よろしくお願いします。
Sorry. So today, Pramod-san talked in India and how we have been able to do. I would like to talk about what we have done. The next product is the Suzuki's 100-owned subsidiary, and the Suzuki is operating their business in India for over 40 years, and 1.4 billion Indian nation. And then Suzuki were able to only reach the 400 million out of the 1.4 billion in Indian populations. And the Suzuki said, the president, the vision is how to reach the next billion. And that's why Suzuki decided to found the next product. How the Suzuki, do you know how the Suzuki launched this journey? Suzuki set up this created handroom in order to resolve his mother's problems, and that's why he founded the Suzuki company. So for his mother, in order to resolve the problems of his mother, the community, so he founded this company. And then the same as in India, so we have many people and trying to resolve the problem for their community, and they become the entrepreneurs. Our mission is to support those great entrepreneurs. So our vision is the empowering community of the great entrepreneur, creating greater impact for the next billion. And what do you mean by the great entrepreneurs? So this is the India, the Rajasthan, the north side of the India. This is the sheep farmer. Their demand has been lowered, and this one of the founder, the female, wanted to do something to help this community. So using this wall, they started creating heating insulation. So this the income of the community increased by 10 times. And there are many similar entrepreneurial companies. And we pick up those companies from India, and we picked up 15 companies last year. And we actually made investment in 8 companies out of 15 companies. So by doing this, we are able to help to resolve the problem with the next 1 billion people. And the reason why this has been successful is this because of this DPAI system. So this enable the payment systems and generate a social system. And we are investing more so that they can scale up even further. And so by investing this entrepreneur, the financial risk is quite high. So in order to reduce, mitigate the risk, there's a fund of funds initiatives. So we get the financial return by investing the multiple funds and get the financial gain. And other than that, there's innovation is important. So there's a Suzuki Innovation Center department, and this is the Hyderabad University. There's a section, the Innovation Center in the university. They go to the field to find out the challenges in the field, and then also the India, Japan, how to enhance the collaboration between India and Japan. And it's called Japan Synergy. And this is we have the section to deal with the Japan Synergy initiative. And we invite India to Japan for 1 week and then learn about Japanese culture and Japan. And then Japanese people go to India to learn the Indian culture. There's such a program every year implemented so that Indian and Japanese can actually deepen their understanding of the people-to-people relationship. This is not just for the Suzuki, but also this is for the Indo and Japan, and then also for the world that we do this. And that's it. Thank you very much.